She wasn't supposed to be there. NASA had rejected women for 20 years, but Sally Ride had a secret advantage. She answered a newspaper ad. Just a simple ad. And it changed everything, but here's what nobody talks about. The training almost broke her. The media turned brutal. And one moment nearly ended her career before it started. What she did next? Still controversial today. Sally Ride was just a physics student in 1977. She was reading the newspaper one morning, just a regular day, then she saw something strange. NASA was looking for astronauts. But this time was different. For the first time ever, they said women could apply. And now here's what you need to understand. NASA had existed for 20 years. They sent men to the moon. They built space stations. But they never let a single American woman fly to space. Not 1.8 thousand people applied that year. Sally was one of them. She had no pilot training. She had never worked for the military. She was just a scientist who played tennis, but NASA picked her anyway. Why? What did they see in her that nobody else had? The answer involves a secret test. And what happened during that test changed everything. The selection process was brutal. NASA didn't just want smart people. They wanted people who wouldn't break. Sally went through 100 hours of interviews. They asked her questions about her childhood, her fears, her relationships. They wanted to know everything. Then came the physical tests. They put her in a spinning chair until she got sick. They stuck needles in her arms. They made her sit in a dark room alone for hours. Most people quit. Sally didn't, but here's something the history books leave out. The male astronauts didn't want her there. Some of them made that very clear. They thought women didn't belong in space. One astronaut said it out loud during training. Sally heard him. She didn't say anything back. She just kept working. But what she did next made him look foolish. And it happened in front of everyone at NASA. Sally had a gift that nobody expected. She could operate the robot arm. Now this sounds simple. But the robot arm was the most difficult piece of equipment on the space shuttle. It weighed 50 feet long. It moved in ways that confused the human brain. Most astronauts struggled with it for months. Sally mastered it in weeks. NASA noticed. They gave her more responsibility. They put her in charge of communication between the ground and the shuttle. This was a big deal. Only the best astronauts got this job. But the attention came with a problem. The media found out about Sally. Reporters started calling her every week. They wanted interviews. They wanted photos. They asked her questions that made her angry. One reporter asked something so offensive that Sally walked out of the room. What did they ask her? The reporters didn't ask about her science, they didn't ask about her training, they asked if she cried when things went wrong. They asked if she would wear makeup in space. One reporter actually asked if the shuttle had a washing machine. Sally kept her cool in public. But inside, she was frustrated. She later said the questions made her feel like a circus act. But something bigger was happening behind the scenes. NASA was getting pressure from Washington. The government wanted Sally to fly soon. They wanted America to beat the Russians. You see, the Soviet Union already sent a woman to space 20 years earlier. Her name was Valentina Tereshkova. America was embarrassed. So NASA made a decision. They moved Sally up the schedule. She would fly on the 7th shuttle mission, but there was a problem with that shuttle. A serious one. And almost nobody talked about it. The Space Shuttle Challenger had issues. Before Sally's mission, engineers found problems with the heat tiles. These tiles protected the shuttle from burning up when it came back to Earth. Some tiles were falling off during flights. NASA fixed what they could. But they couldn't fix everything. They decided the risk was acceptable. Sally knew about the tiles. She flew anyway. June 18, 1983. Sally Ride sat inside Challenger. The countdown started. Her heart was beating fast. She later admitted she was terrified. But she didn't show it. The engines fired. The shuttle shook like an earthquake. Sally felt pressure crushing her chest. Then something amazing happened. The sky turned from blue to black. The shaking stopped. Everything went quiet. Sally looked out the window. She saw Earth below her. Blue and white and beautiful, she was officially the first American woman in space, but her mission was just beginning. Sally had work to do. Her job was to use that robot arm she had mastered. She needed to release satellites into orbit, then she needed to catch them again. Nobody had ever done this before. If she failed, the satellites would be lost forever. Millions of dollars wasted. Sally grabbed the controls. She moved the arm slowly. Carefully. One wrong move and the satellite would crash into the shuttle the whole world was watching on television. She released the first satellite perfectly. Then the second one. Then she caught them both and brought them back. The mission was a complete success. When Challenger landed 6 days later, Sally became a hero, but she didn't want to be famous. She wanted to go back to space. She wanted to do more science. And she did fly again. One more time, but then something terrible happened. January 28, 1986. The Space Shuttle Challenger launched again. But this time, Sally wasn't on board. 73 seconds after launch, Challenger exploded, all 7 astronauts died. Sally watched it happen on television. She knew every person on that shuttle. They were her friends. Her colleagues. She was devastated. NASA asked her to help investigate the disaster. She said yes. Sally spent months looking at evidence. She found something disturbing. NASA knew about the problem that caused the explosion. Engineers had warned them. But NASA launched anyway. The problem was the O-rings, small rubber seals that couldn't handle cold weather. Sally helped write the report that blamed NASA for the disaster. This made her unpopular with some people at NASA. But she didn't care. She later said the truth was more important than her career. And what she did after the investigation surprised everyone. She quit NASA completely. Sally could have stayed famous. She could have done TV interviews and made money. But that wasn't what she wanted. She became a physics professor. She taught college students. She stayed away from cameras. Then she made a decision that changed thousands of lives. She started a company called Sally Ride Science. The goal was simple. She wanted to get young girls interested in science and space. She wrote books for children. She created science camps. She visited schools all over America. Sally worked quietly for 20 years. She never asked for attention. On July 23, 2012, she died from cancer. She was only 61 years old, but her legacy didn't die with her. Today, more women work at NASA than ever before. Many of them say Sally inspired them. She didn't just break a barrier, she opened a door. And millions of girls walked through it. Sally Ride didn't just become the first American woman astronaut. She became a symbol. This NASA female astronaut pioneer flew on Space Shuttle Challenger during STS-7. She broke barriers. She inspired women in STEM for generations. The history of women in space changed forever because one physicist answered a newspaper ad. If her story moved you, subscribe. More untold space history is coming soon.